She claims that the police took him in until she came to pick him up.
Unable to read and write, the teenager tried to make a living on the streets of St. Louis.
He would engage in a crime, and the witnesses would describe him as wearing a bright yellow shirt, and he'd continue to wear that shirt for the next couple of days.
In 1950, he was charged with 6 muggings, one that netted him only 5 cents. He was also caught robbing a diner and 2 gas stations and was sentenced for 5 years to the Missouri State Penitentiary at Jefferson City.
The prison had a boxing program. He begins to box, wipes out the competition, gets the attention of a priest, Father Stevens, who takes Liston under his wing.
They had a very hard time getting him exercise because they had to put 2 or 3 convicts in the ring to fight against him.
After serving 2 years and 4 months, Liston was released into the care of his new family, a coterie of fight managers with ties to John Vitale, a St. Louis underworld figure. Sonny had a new career, however dark.
He was hired to go around and intimidate people. If they needed a kneecap broken, dial Sonny Liston.
Vitale apparently used Sonny to break up union protests, to knock heads, put people back into line.
He was like King Kong, taken over by these racketeers and sent out to fight when they wanted him to.
The only place he could find a palpable, tangible reward was in that prize ring.
In September of 1953, Liston turned pro and won 7 consecutive fights. A success in the ring, he found little joy outside of it. Encounters with the local police were frequent.
St. Louis in the 1950s was a very segregated city. Black people had their enclave where they lived, where they went to school. If you're anywhere out of this area, or you're anywhere that people think you shouldn't be, then you're going to be stopped by the police.
We were out running one morning. Along Lindell Boulevard, there are mansions and well-to-do homes there. Police pulled up, put his gun on us, made us put our hands up, and he thought we were running from a burglary.
All the squad cars in a particular part of St. Louis had his picture underneath the mirror. So anytime they saw him, they would pick him up.
No, the policeman didn't start all this. Sonny just had a short fuse.
Sonny would get drunk and commit traffic offenses and would resist arrest. I don't think anybody was looking for him, but he made them look for him because of his record and because of his persona.
Liston's antisocial profile was further defined one May night in 1956 when he and a friend, Willie Patterson, were questioned by police about a cab that was parked near Sonny's home.
Liston indicated the guy was gonna pull his pistol. During that time, Sonny took his gun away from him. He said for his self-protection. The policeman was struck and fell backwards and broke his leg.
Despite his claims of innocence, the incident cost Liston 9 months in the city workhouse. After another collision with law enforcement ended with one cop stuffed headfirst in a trash can, Liston was given an ultimatum.
Well, this big St. Louis sergeant put out the word, Sonny, leave town or die. And Sonny left town.
Unable to protect his trouble-prone fighter, Liston's mob-connected managers sent him east for further rearing by another set of adoptive parents.
He was handed from Fatale to Blinky Palermo and Frankie Carbo, 2 mob figures who ran fighting in Philadelphia and virtually around the country.
Blinky bought me mink coats and diamond rings, and it was really nice. He was a gangster. I didn't know that part of him. That's the part that I didn't know.
I don't think they were fixing any of Sonny's fight. They didn't have to. When you guy going in the ring with a howitzer, you don't fix fight. You just hope the guy stands up long enough to give the people their money's worth.
With Carbo and Palermo working the controls, Liston unleashed his skill, anger, and power on the heavyweight division. The result was intimidation, devastation, and bloodshed.
Mike DeJohn was fighting Liston in Miami Beach. Somehow Mike managed to draw blood from Liston. Then Liston tore into him and just took him apart. And Sonny later on said, well, I saw DeJohn like the sight of my blood, so I decided I'd show him some of his.
Everlast made 22-ounce gloves for Sonny Liston. And his sparring partners had to get chest protectors because he broke ribs in the gym. He couldn't hold back. He just couldn't hold back.
In December of 1959, Liston gained his 26th victory against one loss by dismantling journeyman Willie Besmanoff in Ohio.
All it was that just powerhouse jab, banging in the face. The nose was broken. The ear just about came off.
Sonny could hurt you. He had this scowl that he mounted on his otherwise impassive, round face. People looked at it and they thought, my God, what am I doing here?
Cleveland Williams hit him with left hooks and knocked the horse down, right on the chin. And Sonny Liston never raised an eyebrow.
If you want to see the essence of heavyweight boxing, you watch Sonny Liston when he was young. Just to stalk a man down and throw a hook, bang, and you were out. You fell down and you stayed down gladly until someone said, you can get up now, it's safe. He's gone.
Liston would give an interview and he would be answering questions pretty civilly, even though his answers might be kind of terse.
Do you like to fight?
As long as the getting is going good, I like it.
He couldn't respond like Don Rickles or William Shakespeare. The only thing that spoke for him were his fists and his brute strength.
He did not particularly care for the press because he didn't know really how to talk to the press.
Couldn't read or write, couldn't read a street sign, couldn't read a boxing contract. He was very defensive about not being able to read the stories that made fun of him.
He was described in print as a jungle beast, as a, quote, latter-day caveman, a gorilla who came to the prize ring with an 84-inch reach, a 14-inch fist, and 19 arrests.
He may not have acted in such a way that was to his best advantage, but he understood how the world worked. He was also a guy who was kind of witty, too.
In the Westerns, there's a good guy and a bad guy. He said, I'm the bad guy. But in my Western, the bad guy wins.
Having lost so often outside the ring, the illiterate, abandoned, and abused man-child sought victory to gain any form of relief. But given the racial ethos of the 1960s, winning was not always possible for an African American.
There was an incident where he fought Roy Cut and Shoot Harris down in Texas. And the guy came up in back of him, and he heard a click of a gun, and the guy says, I'm just going to keep clicking this gun until you tell me that you're a no-good yellow nigger. Sonny, beads of sweat coming down his face, said, I'm a no-good yellow nigger. After that, he said, some part of my mind always felt like a chicken in a bag full of cats.
More secure in the ring, Liston had knocked out 22 of 32 opponents by May of 1961, when his career was stopped dead in its tracks. A woman charged that he and a friend posing as policemen had harassed her in the Fairmount Park section of Philadelphia.
When he got caught and he got hounded, then it went overboard. People overreacted to it.
Sonny had an attorney by the name of Mort Witkin, who was one of the best trial attorneys I've ever seen. And Mort Witkin exposed this chain of circumstances as impossible.
The charges against Liston were dropped, but the damage was done. The Pennsylvania State Athletic Commission revoked his license for actions detrimental to boxing, and the suspension was upheld in all states.
Sonny Liston did not bring the kind of image and the kind of identity that black society desired, while at the same time he gave white society all of the ammunition that they needed to talk about the black male on the loose victimizing people.
There were all sorts of demons driving him, and insecurity was certainly one of them.
And there was tremendous controversy at the time. There were stories being written, should he get a title shot? Oh, he's bad for the youth of America.
Within days, an embattled Liston left Philadelphia and traveled to Denver, where he found a friend in Father Edward Murphy, a Jesuit priest.
He had a belief and a faith in Sonny Liston that no one else really showed.
I'm convinced that he has never had anything to do with gangsters at all.
He'd say to his fellow priests, poor Sonny, pray for the poor bastard.
With the help of Father Murphy, Liston's boxing license was reinstated in October. 2 months later in Philadelphia, he dispatched 4th-ranked Albert Westfall, in the first of a twin bill seen in theaters over closed-circuit television.
Westfall has never been knocked off his feet until now. The fight is over in the first round.
In the main event in Toronto, heavyweight champion Floyd Patterson easily handled Tom McNeely.
Floyd, what was your reaction to the fight that preceded this one?
I think Sonny Liston is a great fighter and all the capabilities of becoming a champion.
The screening was piped into President Kennedy so he could watch the fights. And afterwards he said, I think the two winners should fight each other.
Customato, who was Floyd's trainer and manager, told him, don't fight Liston, you can't beat Liston. Floyd said, I gotta fight him. The president expects me to fight him.
Justice demanded that Sonny Liston have a shot because he had beaten everybody who could remotely claim to be a contender, and Floyd insisted on fighting him.
Immediately upon agreeing to defend his title against Liston, the former Olympic gold medalist became the people's choice.